All right. So life insurance 101 for our life insurance. We're going to go over a few things. All right.
Uh,
So start with the basics. Power term versus precision term. Power term, no medical check, but you cap out at 300,000 depending on your age. Okay.
okay.
So if you ever are curious, if you just select it and you've got too much coverage in there, the client will, or like the system will show you, hey, they can't have that much because
Okay.
it says it right here. Hey, you asked for a 500,000, but you selected power term. You got to change it, right?
Okay. Okay.
So if we were in a situation where we wanted to give someone as much coverage as possible with no medical,
Yeah.
power term.
Okay. Okay.
Nice thing about power term, the underlying insurance is the exact same insurance. You still have
Okay.
you still have a terminal illness benefit, you still have an option for waiver of premium, you still have guaranteed insurability forever, you still have an increasing benefit rider built in.
Yeah.
We're going to cover those things here in a minute. The difference here is no medical, so you're paying more in cost per unit of coverage. Okay?
Okay.
So if you look at this example, right? Emily's 37-year-old female. So
Yep.
for 300,000 no medical check, it's almost 78. Here's
Okay.
here's a great tie down, right? So I mean, Emily, if I could give you almost double the coverage and the price is probably going to be a few dollars difference, wouldn't that make sense?
Yep.
Awesome. So listen, we're just going to do a medical check, right? And so what we're going to do is instead of you doing 300,000 for 78, I'm going to give you a 500,000 for 88. So can I give you an extra 200,000 in coverage for 10 bucks?
Yep. Yep.
Perfect. So medical check is simple. It's free. It's part of the application process. They're going to do a height weight. They're going to take a little bit of blood, pee in a cup, right? And some vitals. That's it. Probably take 15 minutes. And depending on your guys' address, we can either send somebody to you or send you somewhere close by, probably somewhere within 10 to 20 minutes of the house. Sound good?
Great.
Okay. So now that's precision versus power, right? Now the next thing you need to think about is these three numbers: 150, 250, 500. Because at each one of those levels, the client's getting more coverage for less money. Okay, so those are banding levels. So here's an example. If a client said, "Hey, I think I want like, 400,000 in coverage." Perfect.
Okay.
Right? So this is one of those situations where it does like it didn't trigger yet, but if she said, I don't know, 450 sounds about right, right? So 450,000, but can I give you another 50,000 in coverage for like $2,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Where this usually gets wonky is in the lower realms at like 200 with no medical check, right?
Hmm.
So 200,000 no medical check, but 250 is literally $1.50 more.
Oh wow. Okay.
So there are times when you will actually hit a weird trigger and this will pop up and it'll say,
Okay.
hey, agent, right? Consider going to the next banding level
Okay.
because you're not screwing the client, but you're not giving them the best deal.
Hmm.
So in this situation, I would say, hey, I love that you want 200. Always a firm answer close, right? I love that you think that that's the right amount. And I'm glad that you know sort of what you want. Would you be open to me giving you more coverage and saving you money?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. I'd love to just give you another 40,000 in coverage and save you $1.50 a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sound good?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so 150, 255, 750 plus is another banding level as well. But for most people, that one doesn't even apply. Okay.
Okay.
So power versus precision. Now, the same coverage, just changing.
Wow. That's a way cheaper.
Yeah. So now you saved a client like 18 bucks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In this situation, definitely, right? A little older client, they're responsible. They're going to do the medical exam for sure.
Yeah.
If this were like your 23-year-old like son or daughter, they're not showing up. They ain't doing the medical exam.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
They're gonna flake, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so in that situation, even though it would be a few dollars cheaper to do the medical exam, just do it power term because in reality, they'll probably get automatically approved.
Okay. Okay.
So power term, you can get an instant decision.
Yeah.
Precision term, obviously we got to do underwriting, we got to do medical, but
Yeah.
that's the range where we can get 30 to 90 days of conditional coverage for a client, right?
Okay. Good.
Okay, so that's the basic of the life insurance. And then obviously you saw it last night, right? We can play with terms all the way from 35 down to 10, depending on the client's age.
Yeah.
Waiver of premium, this is something we haven't really talked about yet. Waiver of premium does two things, right? It takes the terminal illness benefit that's built into the policy
Mm.
from 40% up to 70%. So let's
If
use, yeah, I'm
if
gonna,
you waive it.
no, 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 no. Waiver of premium is a yes or no. Like, yes, yes, I want it on. So
Mm.
it costs more, right? But it does two things. It takes your terminal illness benefit from 40 to 70%, meaning if you ever come down with a terminal diagnosis and you have 6 months to live, you can access now 70% of the policy in cash.
Okay. Okay. It's living benefits.
It's a living
Okay.
benefit, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But if you turn it off, you still have access to 40%
Okay.
for free, right? So waiver premium goes from 40 to 70, and then it adds like a disability rider on the policy too. So let's say you're in an accident and you become disabled, right?
Mm.
You are continuously disabled for 6 months.
Hmm.
At 6 months and one day, you're still disabled. We're going to send all the documentation into Primerica. They're going to review it, obviously. And then when they figure out that you're telling the truth, they're going to refund you the last 6 months of the premium, and your policy's free for the rest of its life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, up to 6 months, that means you're permanently disabled more than
Yeah.
likely.
You're
Yeah.
you're disabled at that point, right?
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things where you can you can have it, but sometimes it becomes sort of like the breaking point, right? Like if somebody's like, yeah, man, like that kind of makes sense, but that's almost the difference between me covering my kids or not,
Mm. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so because it waiver of premium is also one of those things where every year the cost goes up like minuscule amount, right? I'm talking
Okay.
like it'll go like this year it'll cost like $9. Next year it'll cost 9.50,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But that is one of those things where like the insurance inside that level term for 35 years or whatever it is, that does not change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The waiver of premium could go up because it's an age thing, because as you get to age 60, it's gone.
Okay. Okay.
It doesn't
Because
exist after age 60.
you can get Social Security or retire, like
Yeah,
start drawing from your
you
retirement.
start
Yeah.
drawing, right? But at 60, it doesn't exist for anybody anymore, right? So this is one of those things where like if we're on like a discussion about cost, first thing to go.
Okay. If they're worried about cost, you say no. Yeah.
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 And but it's also something where like you need to sort of relate it to the client, right? Like if a client's primary job is sitting at home and not doing much, like do they really need this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Okay.
really. Like are the odds of them getting actually disabled and hurt like that high?
Yeah. Where for me, I'm on the road all the time.
It might, yeah,
Yeah.
like for you, it might make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing, waiver of premium is one of those things that you can always delete, but you
Okay.
but you can never add it except for at the beginning of an application.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like Social Security, like it's clergy, we can legally not pay into Social Security. It's a dumb reason not to, but a lot of old school guys, that's what they got hooked into. But once you mark that window, you can never go back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So waiver of premium is like that, right?
Yeah.
You can always delete it in the future. You can never put it back on.
Yeah. Yeah.
The increasing benefit rider that's built into the policy is is like inflation protection.
Okay.
Okay, think about this. Today, we're going to get Emily covered for 500,000.
Yeah.
10 years from now, Paul, is that same 500,000 going to be the same 500,000?
No.
No. And Primerica knows that. So our increasing benefit rider is built into the policy. It's free for the first year because there's no extra benefit. The starting in year two, you get an extra 10% in coverage. And on like a linear scale, it's cheaper than 10% of your original policy.
Okay. Okay.
So think about it like this. Every year for 10 years, you add an extra 10%.
Okay.
Starting in year 11, you're going to have 1 million in coverage. You have your
Okay.
original policy that's still not going to change for up to 35 years. Now you have another rider that's going to be essentially a second 10-year level term, and it's
Hmm.
cheaper than your first term.
Okay.
Even though you're 10 years older, even though you didn't have to qualify for it, you could have like 98 different kinds of cancer and AIDS and diabetes, and you're still going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Just like waiver of premium, it can always be deleted, can never be re-put back on.
Okay. And where do we put? Is it automatically
Automatic.
added? Okay.
It's
Then you have to call
automatically a
it.
part. Yeah, it's automatically a part of every single policy because it doesn't cost them anything for the first year.
So what? All right. So question. So right now, 500,000, 88.75. Let's
Mhm.
just say that number. In year after 1 year, what does that do? Does that go up a little bit?
This will never change.
So what do you have? How do you get it? Is it pretty much free, or where do they? How are they able to pay for that? I mean, I know it's the rule of large numbers, but still.
It's not free. It's not free.
Okay, okay, okay,
It's not free. And so here's my increasing benefit rider report, right? Once you've got a, you know, once you've had policies and clients for at least a year, you will have an IBR report.
okay,
And so if a client keeps it, right, then starting in year, like at the very beginning of year two, so like month 13, essentially,
okay,
now there will be an extra 500,000. Well, there will be 500,000 plus 50,000. Okay. So
okay,
here's an example. So
okay,
she's currently paying 56.61. The new price will go up
okay,
$1.21, $2.21.
okay,
And she will end up with an extra 25,000 in coverage.
okay,
Her
okay,
original policy was a $250,000 policy, right? And I know that because she's getting an extra 10%.
yeah,
And now she'll have had the policy for 2 years,
okay, okay.
right? Her very, very original policy was maybe 54.
So when do you explain that? Because you're saying the cost will stay the same. When do you explain that in the?
Generally during policy delivery, or
Okay,
if
okay,
someone is sort of hesitant about the coverage and, you know, you start like stacking value, right?
okay,
So
okay.
here's some of the tie downs that go with that, right? I mean, Paul, let's be honest. You and I both know that 10, 15 years from now, 500,000 is not going to buy the same stuff. Am I right?
Yep.
Perfect. So if I could like inside of your policy, if I could build you in some inflation protection where you get an extra 10% in coverage every year for the first 10 years, you don't have
Yeah.
to qualify for it. It's going to be cheaper than your original coverage. And if you want it, keep it. If you don't, we'll delete it.
Okay.
That would make sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I like having options personally.
Yeah.
And here's another question. Like, Paul, I mean, a lot of people think when you get really, really sick and die, that sucks.
Yeah,
I would agree. Right. But Paul, what happens if you get really, really sick and keep living a long time?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
most people, right? Their bills do this and their income does this.
yeah,
And so right now, like think about it. If you got really bad news from the doctor, like they told you you had 6 months to live, do
yeah,
you have like 200 grand that you and Emily can tap into?
yeah,
Well, guess what? Now you do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
Okay.
40% of your policy, you've got $200,000 that you can advance yourself as a death benefit. It's tax free. It's your money, right? Now, you got bad news in order for this to happen. Like you're terminal,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but it's your money, dude. You can do with it whatever you want. It's like the old JG Wentworth commercial.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You can pay medical bills. You can go on a cruise around the world. I don't care, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you really wanted more option, turn on waiver of premium. And for an extra $8, now you have access to 350,000 in coverage. And God forbid you're ever disabled or in an accident, they're going to pay your policy forever.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So that's sort of how that stuff stacks. Now here's the last one, right? Child rider.
yeah,
Well, sort of the last one. We're going to talk about child rider, and then we're going to talk about guaranteed insurability for life, and then
yeah.
no clauses. Okay.
Okay.
So child rider, I mean, Paul, it's like how many kids do you have?
7.
Seven. Are they all under 18?
Yeah,
Okay. So if I could cover all seven of those little guys, right, for $13, and they're
yeah,
all covered for 25,000 each, and they're guaranteed insurability all the way until age 25, and then when they come off, we
yeah,
can just convert the policy with it's just paperwork. They don't even have to like they could have like stage 99 cancer.
yeah,
They cannot be declined.
yeah, yeah,
Because I mean, nothing's ever going to happen to our kids. We know that.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But how many
yeah,
GoFundMe's have you seen for like little Johnny's cancer research or, Frankie's
yeah,
leukemia, whatever?
yeah,
I mean,
yep,
I hope they're fine and I hope they make it, but once they do, no guarantee at all that they're ever going to be coverable in the future. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yep,
just like we have guaranteed insurability at the end of our term, those kids have guaranteed insurability in the future, and they're guaranteed with Primerica for 5 times their coverage that they had as a kid, right? But it caps at 125,000 for the conversion.
hmm,
So we
okay,
always put kids on for 25,000, Paul,
yeah,
and it's really more about the future value. And I mean, God forbid something happened to one of our kids, like we're not trying to make parents rich. We're trying to make sure that you can bury that child and not have to worry about it. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yep, yep,
Awesome. So that's sort of how our child rider works, and whether it's your kid, a step kid, a grandkid, or a niece and nephew, they can go on the rider.
okay,
Crazy,
okay,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And so kids have guaranteed insurability forever. So do you. I mean, Paul, think about it. 30, 35 years from now, are you going to be healthier than you are today?
no,
Probably not. We know for sure you won't be any younger.
yeah, yeah,
And so if you're not going to be younger or healthier than you are right now, when is life insurance ever going to be cheaper?
right now,
Right now, yesterday, right? Yeah. And so if 30, 35 years from now, you're not going to be healthier than you are today, but I'm going to guarantee that you have insurability if you want it. You don't ever have to do another medical check. 35 years from now, if Emily still wants life insurance, she's going to convert this policy, right? Now she will be older, right? She'll be 72. So it will
yeah,
be more expensive. But if you still want life insurance at 72, we can just say, well, hey, I've been paying $88 for 35 years. What will that get me?
hmm,
Right. So this is called decreasing term to 100.
yeah, yeah,
You keep paying the same amount, and every year you get a little older, you get less coverage.
yeah, yeah,
And at some point, it's not going to make any sense to keep it, and we're going to cancel the thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But if you still wanted coverage, you can have it. And when your policy issues, we'll be able to see in the schedule exactly what you would have. Sound good?
Yep.
Perfect. So I want to draw you a picture really quick. So I want you to be able to kind of understand this. We call this an application, right? This is an A diagram. We're just applying. And so, Paul, you've applied for things in the past, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like a job or a school. Where, so
Yep.
like, where'd you go to school, dude?
Uh, well, high school, or you talking about college?
Where'd you go to college? Yeah.
Okay, I went to Yale University.
Okay. So when you applied to Yale, did Yale have to accept you?
No.
No, but I mean, you're amazing. So they did, right?
Huh,
Now, when you applied to Yale, was that the only place you applied?
no.
No. Because if Yale picked you, but you didn't pick them, you don't have to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So this is no different, Paul. This is just an application, right? And it's almost December. I mean, with the holiday, it basically is January, February. So we give our clients somewhere between 30 to 90 days of conditional coverage, right?
Yeah.
And that is because I can't control the medical schedule. I can't control how long it takes to get your records if we need them. And that's not your fault, right?
Yeah.
So when we submit the application, Paul, we're going to submit your first month's premium essentially, right?
Yeah.
As soon as we do that, right? Emily's covered for 500,000 and all the kids are covered for 25,000.
Yeah.
God forbid something happened.
Yeah.
Primerica sending you a check for 500,000, they're keeping this.
Yeah.
Even during underwriting, right? That's why we call it conditional coverage. And we conditionally cover clients all the way up to 500,000.
Yeah.
Now, if you're only submitting a policy for 150,000, we're going to give you 150,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But all the way up to 500,000. And so, like we were saying before, when you applied, did they have to accept you? No.
No.
Same thing here. We don't have to accept you. Like we might find something that you didn't even know about. And if that happens, we can decline you, right?
Yeah.
And so if you get declined, though, there's no risk because if we don't accept you as a client, we're not going to keep your money. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Right. So if we decline you, you're going to get a letter in the mail and you're going to get all your money back. You could also decline us, right? Like you didn't have to pick Yale, but you did.
Yeah.
So you also don't have to pick us. And so if you don't pick us, because like say you win the lottery and now you're a multi-billionaire, right? Powerball's getting up there.
Yeah.
If you win the lottery, I would argue you probably don't need this. You're self-insured.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll help you invest it, right?
Yeah.
But you're self-insured. And so you could decline us, right? And if you decline us, you're going to get the same money back, just a different letter. Sound good?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think you're going to get declined, and I don't think you're going to win the lottery. So you're probably going to need the coverage. Fair?
Fair.
I'm always bringing it back to we're doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So look, it's basically December. We're going to schedule medical for sometime in the next, 2 weeks. The results, even with the holidays, will probably still get to underwriting sometime, late December, early January. Your policy is probably going to issue somewhere out here in the middle of January.
Okay.
Really. Right. So when your policy issues, we're going to get back together. We're going to show you that you've got 500,000 in coverage on Emily. All the kids are covered forever. That you've got increasing benefit rider, right? So your 500,000 is actually going to be 1 million in 10 years. You've got the terminal illness benefit. So we've got access to 200 grand right now, tax free that you can access. God forbid you get some really bad news, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go over all those things. And the coolest thing about this 104, it's been sitting in escrow. Are you familiar with escrow?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like a holding account, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that 104, when that policy issues, dude, is going to go pay your policy. And depending on how we pick the billing dates and issue and like when it issues and all that, it's going to likely pay it into the next billing cycle.
Yep.
So more than likely, your next payment isn't due until sometime in February,
Awesome.
even though you've been covered from December through January. Sound good?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. So what I want to do today is I just want to apply and see how it comes back. Fair?
Okay. Okay. Fair.
Awesome. Who do you want your beneficiary to be?
My spouse.
Perfect. Stop recording.